myself for being so naive. I couldn't believe that something like this could happen to me. I bought my first rental property a few years ago. I was planning to turn it into an Airbnb, and I was constantly looking for cheap ways to furnish the place. I still needed a bunch of stuff, including a refrigerator and some other appliances. One day I came across a promising listing on Facebook Marketplace. It was a sleek and modern fridge, and it looked like it would fit perfectly into the kitchen. I sent a message to the seller hoping to secure the deal before anyone else could take it. Then I put my computer away for a few hours. When I opened it again, the seller had responded with an address and a time to meet. They seemed eager to get rid of the fridge, and I was equally eager to make the purchase. The price was fair, so I didn't waste any time trying to bargain for a few bucks. I loaded up my truck and headed out. While I was still in my driveway, I put the location into my GPS. It was a spot that was out of the city in a mostly forested part. I sort of knew the area because I had gone out there a few times to do some hiking. As I drove down the winding country road, a worry didn't cross my mind. I had made many deals on Facebook and Craigslist before and never had a problem. There were trees on both sides of the road and the occasional house. The further I went, the more remote the area became. Eventually I got there and I pulled up in front of the address that the seller had given me. At first glance, the house looked abandoned. The windows were boarded up, and there was no sign of life inside. I almost turned around right there, but I decided to check it out anyway. I knocked on the door, but not surprisingly, there was no answer. I checked my phone to see if I could message the seller, but when I pulled up the conversation, I saw that the profile was gone. That's when I realized that something was up. I scanned the area, trying to spot any signs of life. I turned around and saw 3 large men standing in front of my truck. They looked intimidating with their arms crossed and scowls on their faces. I tried to make my way back to the truck, but they stepped forward, blocking my path. Their faces were blank, as though they were trying to intimidate me. I didn't know what to do. I felt trapped, like a cornered animal. The men continued to stare at me, not saying a word. No words needed to be said. I knew what this was and I knew why they were here. They never pulled a weapon on me, but I'm pretty sure they would have if it came to that. I turned and ran past the house and into the woods. I didn't stop until I reached a main road where I flagged down a passing car. I was already on the phone with the police at that point. The driver took one look at me and could tell something was wrong. I explained what happened and he agreed to drop me off at a gas station where I could wait for the police. I was waiting in front of the gas station for 10 minutes or so when the police arrived. They already knew what happened. Mostly I told my story to the operator over the phone. We went to the spot where the house was. When we arrived, my truck was gone. I had obviously fallen into a trap. There was no refrigerator, and the men probably didn't even own that house. On closer inspection, it was definitely abandoned. The officers told me that they would continue to investigate, that there was a good chance that my truck was already being stripped for parts. They also told me that this scam is more common than most people think, and there was little hope that the guys would be caught. I sell a lot of things on Facebook Marketplace, and I also buy. Very few things have gone wrong for me, but I do have one terrible experience to share. This happened about 5 years ago when I first moved into my apartment. I was sleeping on the floor for the first few weeks. At this point, I had one of those foam camping pads that was actually pretty comfortable. I was ready for a real bed, though, and I can never resist looking for a deal.